so happy to have you on with us today because this movie was so much fun to watch, and it looked like it was fun to make too. Because as we come to find out, a lot of the movies that we all grow up thinking, oh, it'd be great to be in a movie or TV show, and then you get on set, it's not as fun as you think. But actually, this one looked like it was fun, right?
We did have a good time. And especially, I like working with these newer filmmakers, and Phil I think this is his third feature. And he's just full of ideas and enthusiasm and daring. I mean, the fact is that he took on this project, which was a period story, on a real shoestring of a budget, and the fact that then necessity is the mother, and the inventiveness of these guys in terms of what they were able to accomplish, in terms of making this film, it was really fun to be a part of, and there was great enthusiasm always, everybody was happy to be there.
Yeah. Was there a certain moment on the set that you think you'll always remember as kind of like, oh, that was a good day. This is fun to get paid to do this?
Well, indeed. I mean, the fact that we were able to shoot inside an actual Atlas missile silo was pretty great.
Mhm.
And I mean, to be able to tell that story and have that be the denouement of the story, that all of that takes place in that facility, I mean, if that hadn't existed there as a museum and they allow people to come in and shoot, I mean, that would have been millions upon millions of dollars to put that on a soundstage and try to replicate that. And instead, we were in the real thing. It could not have been more accurate. I actually had took exception to somebody was writing about the film and said that they thought that set looked sort of old-fashioned. And I think, well, what do you? It's the real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from 1962. What were you expecting? That was fun. I have to say, all of us being in there and being able to sort of walk around and explore that place and stand next to, I mean, obviously it's been decommissioned, so there's nothing inside that missile, but it's there and
Yeah.
it's massive. And to be able to sit in that space and work in that space, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I know there's a couple of the guys on set that looked up to you, and people have been looking up to you for years and going, see, I want to do what you do. But again, it's a little bit. You just make it look easy. So, what kind of advice do you have for those actors that want to do what you do?
Oh, well. Um, the best advice I got, guidance really from my father, who, he started it all for us. And he just said, he can't tell us how to find a character, how to play the role, but he can tell us how to be professional. And as you show up on time, you know your words, and you hang up your clothes at the end of the day. And it's pretty simple. The rest of it is we're all doing something that we naturally did as children. And all we professional actors have done is figure out a way to keep being childish into into our adult years. It's just storytelling, and um, I think one of the most important aspects of the process is that you can't do it alone. You're doing this with a team of people, and every member of that crew on a film set, or every member of the stagehands, if you're doing a Broadway or a theater, everybody has a role to play, and they're all equally vital. And we have to respect every one of those elements. So, when we're working, and yeah, the guy who's holding the light board off camera is just as valuable as the director who's watching the screen and seeing everything and trying to guide you. And then there's the obvious requirement of playing with one another. We
Mhm.
actors, tennis players will say, you're only as good as the guy opposite you on the other side of the net. And if that guy can really whale it back, then it's going to raise your game. And I certainly feel that way about the opportunity to play the play with whomever I'm playing with, on the opposite side of a scene.
Mhm.
And that's really the fun of it for me. When you get into that moment, opposite another player, and you can go back and forth and bat the ball back and forth, as it were. That's the fun stuff. especially when it gets heady, when it gets emotional, um, when the sparks fly. That's kind of what we're all there for is those moments.
Yeah. Well, you'll like this. My co-host is Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
And and he wanted me to make sure that I asked you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you.
boy,
Yeah.
that's a that's a tough ask. I mean, the funny thing is that I got some really wonderful opportunities pretty early on. And the fact that we made a movie called Nashville that Robert Altman directed, and that he gave all of us players the opportunity to bring our music to the story, you know. Um, I wish I could describe it as a Hail Mary, where I felt as though I was hitting the home run or catching the touchdown pass at just the crucial moment. But I mean, I had three of my songs in the film. I performed one of them that did pretty good, won an Oscar, became a hit record. So I'd say in a certain regard, that's one of those moments. Um, I can't say that at the time I knew that that was what was happening. I just was playing a song that I wrote, and it turned out to break through and strike a nerve with people. So that's pretty special.
Yeah, very special. And of course, music is still very important to you today. In fact, we just heard you on a pretty recent soundtrack.
Oh, wait, are you talking about what are you talking about?
Oh, with oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank a second. It's a fantastic movie. Goodness, Strange Darling.
Oh, Strange Darling. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. Strange Darling. I love that movie.
yeah.
But that musical moment came courtesy of my goddaughter, Z Berg, and
Mhm.
she was given this song and she did all the songs for the movie, except that one song. She was assigned to do that. It wasn't something that she wrote. It was a vintage, Everly Brothers tune.
Mhm.
And she decided that the perfect duet with whom to do it, the perfect voice, the perfect 70s voice, as she referred to my quality, was me, and we've done things together before, so that was pretty special. Yeah,
Yeah, and she's wonderful. We talked to her at Fantastic Fest in Austin, and she's the best.
yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, part of doing everything that you do and doing it so well is that success mindset that you have to have. And as creative types, we're notoriously hard on ourselves. So, is there something that you keep in mind or tell yourself that keeps you on the right path always?
I think I try to remind myself of the fearlessness of my youth.
Mm,
We tend to be fearless when we were young. We think we can do it, and thinking you can do it has a lot to do with being able to do it. And there is an element of that that can diminish over time as we live our lives and suffer through some knocks that are going to inevitably happen, and it can shake one's confidence. I've got stuff that I look back on that I did. When we did The Moderns, for example, a film I made with Alan Rudolph, and I was playing a painter in it, so I painted, and I sat in my hotel room painting, and I painted canvases. I copied. I was supposed to be a forger, so I was copying Picasso's, and there was a Van Dongen that Alan was using to sort of represent the atmosphere of the film. And I'd made a copy of that, and then I added two figures to it and put faces of all of the principal actors in the film. And I have that picture hanging, in my
that's
home.
good.
And I look at it now and I honestly I think, how the hell did I do that? But I did, So I try to remind myself not to stifle my own impulses or creativity, particularly at this point in my life where, you look back and you think, well, you kidding? You can't do that. Oh, wait a second. No, there was a time when you didn't know you couldn't do that. And because you didn't know that, you did it. So I think it's important to try and remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And for this film, I know that it's just meant for entertainment, but also it's kind of cool to think about what people might get out of it. What have people been discussing with you, or what do you hope that they'll take away after seeing this too?
Well, I think, listen, it's just a good adventure,
Yeah.
and it's a good action adventure piece, and
Hmm.
it's set in a particularly fraught time geopolitically and certainly politically in our own country. What with the assassination of Kennedy and all else that was going on in the world at that time. And the myriad conspiracies that have been, put forth about that part of our that time in our history. So I think that this film taps into all of that,
Mhm.
and it taps into it in I think an inventive way. And because Phil and his team, took on something that was really challenging in terms of telling this story and the production value that was required to be able to tell it properly, this period piece, and the way that they were able to accomplish that, my hat's off to them.
Yeah. Well, after this, I can't wait to see what you got coming up next for us. What are we going to see next from you or hear next from you?
Well, actually, I did a little film called The Devil and the Daylong Brothers, which is
Mm.
again young filmmakers out of Georgia, and it is a Southern Gothic musical.
Uh,
That's never been done.
yeah.
And I've seen it. It's really good. Everyone involved is terrific. And this guy, Nicholas Kirk, who wrote all of the songs and the music for the film, I play the father of three sons whose souls I sold to the devil before any of them were born. So I'm profoundly evil. And also profoundly regretful of this choice that I made back in my youth.
Mhm.
And I do get to do a song that is sort of at the end of the film. It's a classic kind of blues
Yeah.
tune called uh, uh,
Mhm.
Burden Lay Down.
Mhm.
So more music to come. And it's out there now. In fact, I think it just began streaming last week. Devil in
Oh,
the Day.
good. Well,
Yeah, check it out.
yeah, we'll definitely have to check that out. Well, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you for the amazing answers. It's great to talk to you and look forward to talking to you again very, very soon.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Okay.